Hi everybody, I hope we're all staying safe and well. I'm really missing seeing all of your beautiful faces, so today I thought I would read you one of my bedtime stories from when I was a child. It's called Cops and Robbers, and this book is as old as me. That's 30 years old. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Cops and Robbers by Janet and Alan Allberg. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho, ho. Take a look at the picture. What can you see? Feel free to pause the video and press play when you're ready to hear the story. Here are the cops of London town, hard-working, brave and true. They drink their tea, stay up till 3 and take good care of you. Here are the robbers of London town with crowbars and skeleton keys. They prowl and creep when you're asleep and take whatever they please. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho, ho. The worst of the robbers was, as most of us know, is dreadful Grabber Dan. His voice is gruff, and he's pinched enough stuff to fill a furniture van. His mates in the gang are Snatcher Jack and Baby-Faced Billy the Bag, Peg-Leg Horace, Fingers Morris, and villainous Grandma Swag. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho, ho. This dreadful snatching, pilfering bunch would rob a baby of its lunch. This sneaking, creeping, fingering lot would burglar, like it or not. The peg-legged, baby-faced, villainous crew would pick the pocket of a kangaroo. Now we hear there's worse to come, for the robbers are planning, the scallywag scum, to make a haul on Christmas Eve of all the toys that they can thieve. Like crooked Santas that'll creep about, pinching presents, not giving them out. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho, ho. The best of the cops, by common consent, is upstanding Officer Pugh. He can run like a hare and fight like a bear. And he's good at crosswords too. So on Christmas Eve, when the trouble began, the station sergeant said, the thing to do is to send for Pugh, he'll get them, alive or dead. Listen, Pugh, the sergeant said, the problem is this, there are toys going missing galore. From the size of the job, we suspect it's the mob. What they need is the strong arm of the law. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho, ho. Meanwhile, outside in the gloomy street, the strong arm of the robbers was working a treat. And the strong leg too, and the beady eye, keep watch for passers-by. In at the windows, in at the doors, down the chimneys, under floors. Through silent rooms the robbers crept, while in their beds the children slept. Dreaming of Santa Claus and of snow, and what they'd get from Uncle Joe. They never knew that Uncle Morris was robbing them, and Uncle Horace. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho, ho. The lookout man was Snatcher Jack. He stood in the doorway yawning, but when Officer Pugh came into view, Jack saw him and whistled a warning. Grandma Swag, when the warning came, was pushing a pram up the road. It was piled high with loot and stolen to boot, a thoroughly villainous load. Hello, hello, said Officer Pooh. Now then, what's going on here? Not much, young man, said the criminal Grang. We're just having a robbery, dear. Ho, ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho, ho. Before Officer Pugh could unravel this clue, the robbers were on him like beasts from a zoo. They knocked off his helmet and rumpled his tie, trod on his truncheon, kicked mud in his eye, pulled his ears and tickled his feet, threw half of his clothes all over the street, punched and pummeled him, wham, bam, slam, even ran over him with the pram. give up, the robbers cried as they sat on the officer side by side. We've got you outnumbered 5-1, for in the confusion Grandma had gone, but Officer Pugh just shook his head. We've hardly started, boys, he said, and he laughed a laugh and grinned a grin. Sitting comfortably, are you? Then I'll begin. With a sudden leap he bounded free and handcuffed Horace to a nearby tree, tied Morris up in an empty sack and beat the daylight out of Jack. Help, shouted Billy, this can't be fair. That Pugh's not human, he fights like a bear. My mother was right, crime doesn't pay. And with these words he fainted away. Grabber Dan was the last to cop it, Grandma, of course, having chosen to hop it. Dan tried to hide, the officer sought him. Dan tried to run, the officer caught him. Dan went to lift Pugh over his head, the officer lifted Dan instead, and whirled him round and swung him whoosh across the road and into a bush. Down he tumbled, skidded, rolled, hit a concrete gnome and was knocked out cold. Pugh dusted his hands and sat on the wall. A little snow had begun to fall. He looked at the gnome and patted its head. You could get us a medal for this, he said. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho ho. Here are the cops of London town in the station at 2:30. They drink their beer and raise a cheer for upstanding Officer Pugh. Here are the robbers of London town, in cells all gloomy and grim. Let us out, not guilty, they shout, and it wasn't me, it was him. And the toys, oh, they were taken back by a Santa Claus copper with a Santa Claus sack, while the rest of the force searched day and night for an elderly lady of medium height, with a fondness for earrings and red fox furs and a habit of taking what wasn't hers. She usually carried a sizable bag. Her name, of course, was Grandma Swag. Ho ho for the robbers, the cops and robbers, ho ho. Take a look at the picture. Who do you think you can see standing there in the audience? The end. Hi guys, I really hope you enjoyed that story. It is one of my favourites. Keep safe, keep well, and importantly, stay happy, and I will speak to you soon. Bye. Hi everybody.